Greetings, YouTubers. This is my 2006 Trailblazer that I picked up for 800 bucks. Got some small issues, and we're slowly getting them taken care of. Now, in one of the previous videos, I had a problem with the transmission not shifting. It was stuck in high gear, sort of a limp mode. So we tore the transmission pan off of it, and we did replace some sensors at the time. Replaced the shift solenoid A and B. These are the old ones, and we replaced this guy here. It was actually broken. Now, here is a sensor kit that I bought. I didn't get to replace the rest of them. I just wanted to see if this transmission was going to shift. And now, since it shifts through 1 through 3, and it does seem like it goes into overdrive on the highway, but I'm not really sure yet because I'm still getting one more code here. And this is a torque converter clutch pressure control solenoid control circuit low. Looks like P2764. And I think what we're going to do is go ahead and change out the rest of these solenoids here and replace them all. Now, this harness I got on eBay. It's reconditioned, and I was going to go ahead and change out this wiring harness too, but I don't know. This wiring harness seems like it's about in the same condition as the one I have now. The thing that's got me kind of worried now is I got a couple of these ears right here broke off, and 3 of these on the other side are okay, so I don't know if this is safe to put in there or not. I think it would probably stay in there, but I'm going to go ahead and inspect the wiring harness really good that's on here. If it seems to be okay, there's no nicks, cuts, or burns in it, I think we're just going to go ahead and pull out the solenoids here and change it like that. Although, I think one of these, let's see, I can take that one off. This one here, it's all attached. This is the only one that's like, yeah, why did they just leave that attached? Why couldn't they put a connector on it where you can just pull it off? And this here, pressure plate, you can actually take it off and, you know, change it out. But this is the only sensor right here. And I don't see any way around it. This is one long connector. So what are you going to do, you know? So I'll look at the wiring harness. We'll make a decision. But anyway, we got to replace, let's see, 1, 2, 3 cylinders, 3 solenoids, and this pressure plate on this vehicle, and hopefully that'll take care of that code, that clutch control solenoid code that we got here. I believe that's what it is. It's sort of a mouthful. Torque converter clutch, and that's the only code we got. As I went through here and was kind of looking at things, and these are the pending codes, and that's also the hard codes, stored codes. That's all we got. So before I had a mess of codes. So we're going in the right direction, and I still think this transmission is savable. So let's go ahead and get this oil pan off and see what we can get done. Alright, so now we're back under the vehicle. I'm taking the pan off and all that, and here is the issue that I have. You can see this is connected to the wiring harness here, this TCC, and the wiring harness goes up over here. In order to actually pull this wiring harness out, I still have to take out this solenoid here and this guy here, which I don't have an issue with it, but this wiring harness is in good shape, so I may just go ahead and reuse this one, pull it out. The reason I have to pull this out now is because we got to put the new solenoid on here, so I'll probably just clip these wires and solder the new one on with some soldering and get some heat shrink, make it look good. Put the new one on with this wiring harness. You're asking why am I going to do that? Well, if you look down here on the bottom, when I was popping this clip there off on this these 2 solenoids here, shift solenoid 1 and 2, this clip here is okay, but this one here had snapped it off, the little clip part. So now I've damaged that. So, you know, that was my fault. I got in a hurry and pulled too far back on that and broke it off. So we're just going to reuse this wiring harness only because, like I said, the other one where it goes up into the transmission, some of the clips are actually broken off. So now I've got to get this off. I've got to unplug the wiring harness on this side, and I'm hoping I can get my hand up over here somehow and get that off. So we'll see how this goes. So it looks like that's going to be the issue. If I could somehow solder this here with it in here, you know, I would just leave this wiring harness in here. But one thing I did want to show you, these two wires going up to the solenoid here, which I have the code for. Look, the whole thing is moving around. Look at that. Can you see that up in here? So I don't know. The new one doesn't do that. So enough talking. Let me see if I can just drop this whole wiring harness out of here. We'll take it inside and we'll take parts off of the new one and put this one back in. I don't see any nicks. I mean, the wires are pretty thick. I think this wiring harness is just fine, except the damage I just did to it down here on the end. So let me go ahead and see if I can get this out of here. All right, everyone, here is the skinny. I was determined to get this plug out, wiring harness off. Now what I had to do, I had to get a little tiny screwdriver, and I had to stick one hand back to here like this and grab that plug, the wiring harness, and I had to take a little tiny screwdriver, straight screwdriver, and I had to somehow get this up under that plug, that wiring harness, and kind of push up on it to help it, because you just don't have enough room or strength to get this wire off. And it is actually sitting here off to the side, and I've got also this big socket, 1¼ inch, to help me push this plug through. But here is the wiring harness. Once I grab it, there it is. It is huge. I mean, there's just no way to grip it with your hands. It's so tight. So that little screwdriver, if you can just kind of get it under the corner of it and push up on it, it'll help to pop that off. And then I take my big socket, kind of push down on that, and that's ready to come out. But now I got to take this little, I got to take this solenoid here off, and I got to take this little solenoid off here. Then I can now pull this wiring harness out and repair it take the old one and repair it, and go from there. So that was the biggest hurdle, was trying to get this plug unloosed, unhooked, I should say, unloosed. When you lay on your back and you're talking, it's sometimes things don't come out just right. But anyway, there's, look at that plug, that wiring harness for the transmission. It is a booger to get out, but I did get it. And this little screwdriver I've got here, it's probably only about 2 inches. It's not a very big one. I tried some bigger screwdrivers, but there's just not enough room. So maybe somebody can use this information. Now I'm going to turn around and lay the right way here. We're more comfortable. Take this guy out, take that guy out, and go ahead and pull this wiring harness out, and go ahead and take out this torque converter solenoid there. So there we go. Anyway, get this out of the way. Like I said, we got to take this out in order to get this little one out, and we can pull this cable out. So I'll tell you the truth, I almost gave up. I was about ready to leave the cable in and just come somehow splice it. But sometimes you just got to hang in there. Let's get this out of here. Now I'm going to recheck all these bolts on this valve body, make sure something hasn't backed off. Maybe one of the bolts backed out, causing some issues, but who knows. All right, so there's that, and all this is just a solenoid here with a gasket there. So everything here looks okay. Now we'll go ahead and get this little one here out. All right, here comes this one here. One little bolt, I think. Yep. What am I doing? That's not the bolt I need to take out. See, this is what happens when you start getting tired. I actually need to get the bolt on the other side. All right, so this little guy right here is an 8mm little bolt, and it's right there. I think you can kind of see it. I don't have much room under here, and my poor little camera is taking a beating with this transmission fluid. Luckily I have 2 of them. So we get this one out, pull the solenoid out, and then we can drop this wiring harness out. So it's coming. It's probably fairly long too, so alright, come on little bolt, you can do it. And there's a bracket, a little clip here that comes out with it. I think this is called the EPCC or something like that solenoid. There's our little bracket clip. And now we'll just go ahead and pull this one out. Slide it out. And there's probably going to be some fluid come out. Yep, of course. Likely it missed the camera. And there that is. And I got a new solenoid to put in with that one there. And now, here comes the money shot. Well, sort of. All that for just to get that plug out of there. So, let's go ahead and pull the rest of the plug out. God, these clips are so hard to get out. There's just no way to grip them. So you gotta have a little pick, and then you gotta spend 5 minutes trying to grab it and turning at the same time. Alright, so there's that. Let's get this out. Now this is a new one. All I gotta do is stick it back in. And of course, we're getting another bath. And it looks pretty clean. I mean, I drove it a little bit, and I don't see any contaminants in any of these filters, which is a good thing. So I'm hoping I'm not doing this for nothing, only to find out the transmission does have a problem. And there is the guy that we have to take out last. We can finally say we can pull this wiring harness out, and now go ahead and fix it and put it back together and all that. So this solenoid here is the one that was giving me the code, apparently. Transmission torque converter, short, or whatever it was. So get this out. Of course, the battery's about dead. Okay, so there's one. And here comes number two. Now let's pull it out. Of course, more transmission will come flying out, fluid will flying out, and there's what we came for. And like I said, these wires, look at this. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but this thing seems a little loose, so I don't know. Alright, ooh, what's that? Something's in there, I think. No, that's supposed to be there. Alright, so let's pull this wiring harness out. Alright, let me just go ahead and disconnect it from the pressure plate, clutch, pressure plate, whatever they call it. There it is. So let's take it inside and repair it. Alright, so here is our original wiring harness out of the vehicle. And even this one, when I looked here, this one's actually got a ear broke off one here too that sticks it up in the transmission, but this one's only got one compared to the other one's got 2 or 3. But yeah, maybe someone's had this off before too. But anyway, we got this on, we got the new one on, we got it soldered and heat shrink. All we gotta do is put it back in the wiring harness bundle, and we even fixed this guy here. We got a new one on, we got some heat shrink there, and it should be good. And this is ready to be put back in. Now I noticed the wiring harness that I bought had all the sensors on it. This wouldn't have worked anyway, because this one here has got an extra, it looks like a wire plug here hanging out on it, which this one does not. So I'm not sure. Some of these just came with extra sensors, so you got to be real careful. Some of these Trailblazer transmissions, they did make some different models. But anyway, that's off to the side, and now we're ready to go ahead and put this all back together. And just like that, everything's back in. Took about 15 minutes, no big deal. Got everything all hooked up. All new sensors. The only thing I couldn't do was put this sensor in here, and this is the one right, let's see, this one right back here. My wiring harness that I ordered online to get these sensors is a little bit different, and this one had a different plug on it, but this one here is okay. I don't have a code for that one, and also I could not change out this pressure plate. Even though they look identical this way, when I pulled this off, some of the seals were in different places, but this one here was okay. I just cleaned it up. It looks good. You got the plug in, and if you look closely, you can probably see right there is the 2 wires that I kind of put heat shrink on and some solder. I'm not too worried about the solder. Actually, the heat shrink getting too hot and melting off, because this heat shrink has a melting point of 500 some degrees, and the solder has something like 1200 degrees, so the fluid's going to have to get pretty hot. And if it does fall off, and it'll just fall into the pan, the filter will catch it. But this is just kind of see what's going to happen to the transmission. And let's see, up here, of course, our biggest headache that we had earlier. This is all fixed right here at the end. That is the new one, and of course, the piece I fixed where I soldered it, put a heat shrink on, is actually inside this clip here, this wiring bundle. It can't come out, touch anything if the heat shrink comes off, and the wires won't even touch because I soldered them kind of at different angles, so if they come together, it melts. So if the heat shrink melts and comes off and the wires touch like this, it's not going to hurt anything because I actually soldered them kind of off-centered and everything. But I think it'll be just fine. So all we got to do now is go ahead and put the pan back on, and I even got the wiring harness there back in. No problem, get it clipped in real easy and all that. So having said that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the pan on, put some fluid in it, and we'll see what we have. Then a little bit later I'm going to put a brand new filter in it and new fluid, but this just to see if it's going to actually shift really good and make sure that we don't have this code for this torque converter solenoid. So if I do get the code again, my last option is to check every fuse in the computer in the housing and the fuse block, make sure I don't have something blowed, because a long time ago I bought a Ford Explorer that the transmission went out in it. I brought it home, went through it, and had one fuse blown in it that controlled the transmission. I put a little fuse in it, had a perfectly running vehicle. But I don't know, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. So having said that, go ahead and put the pan on and see what we get. All right, she's all back together. Let's take her out on the highway and see what we got. Been driving for about a half hour and she runs great. Shifts through all the gears, first, second, third, and fourth. Now, from what I understand, the 4L60E transmissions from 2002 to 2009 have 4 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. I thought maybe it had overdrive, but apparently these Trailblazers don't have overdrive. They consider 4th gear overdrive. So all that work I did, I guess it worked, but the only issue now is the check engine light is back on for a torque converter lockup, which I'm kind of puzzled because the transmission is shifting perfectly. And the other code is for cylinder 2 misfire. It's got a slight misfire. I think I got a bad injector out there. For something with only 90,000 some miles, it's amazing what could go wrong. I think he was probably abused a little bit. So we'll pull over up here and we'll see. We'll show you the scan code, but man, she runs amazing. I mean, it's so quiet in here, right? It's completely different from my 2002 that I have on that side. So I don't know, that's kind of a mystery. So what I'm gonna do, we'll make a second video down the road if I figure out why we have a P2764 code for a transmission solenoid lockup. It could be the torque converter going bad, I don't know, but it's not shuttering. It's not doing anything. It's just like, I'm blown away just how nice it drives, and we still have a code that keeps popping up. Remember before when I first got this, a couple videos back, it wouldn't shift. It was stuck in limp mode, 2nd gear. It wouldn't even go to 1st, 2nd. So I've accomplished a lot. I know this might be a little hard to see, but right there is drive. And if I drop it down 1 gear to 3rd, see the RPM pick up? So we are in 3rd gear. And now if we go up again, there is overdrive, our 4th gear. So transmission shifting just fine. Well, that's a strange one. All right, so there are the codes. Cylinder 2 misfire. Like I said, I think I've got a fuel injector that's getting bad. We'll deal with that a little bit later in another video. But torque converter clutch pressure control solenoid control circuit low 2764. And we replaced the solenoids, so all the solenoids are pretty much changed out. So kind of interesting there. And we'll do another read on it here real quick, just make sure we're doing good. And we'll read codes, stored codes. We just have the 1, and of course the misfire number 2 is sort of a pending code. Yes, it's a pending code. It'll pop up soon, but that hard code is a torque converter clutch solenoid pressure control circuit low. So I don't know, this thing's only got 95,000 miles on it. So it shifts fine. So I don't know, guys. This is about the end of the video. We're at the end of the video here. Not much more I can do, so hopefully we'll figure this thing out down the road and we'll do an update on the video. All right, before we wrap the video up here, I'll just show you all the gears it's going through. We're in first. Get here on the highway. Okay, there's first, second. You can watch the RPM there. There's third, and here comes fourth. Once we get up to speed, and there is fourth. So I don't know. I know my channel's not that big, and I don't have probably any experts in transmissions watching because, like I said, my channel is pretty much dedicated to the average guy. So I don't know if any of you guys out there know anything about transmissions. Comment in the section below. Let me know what you think it might be. Why we're getting a 2764 code. Hey, wait a minute. Hold that thought. You know what? I just got thinking of my other Trailblazer, my 2002. Why don't I take it out and verify that I have overdrive? Because I think in this one, I feel it pulse up into overdrive after fourth gear around 50 miles an hour. So let's take this one down the road and find out if it's, you know, if it has overdrive. Then I know the 06 one, that's the problem. The torque converter is not letting overdrive going into overdrive, and that's why we got the code, I bet you. So let's take this up the road here and see what we got. There's first. Now my tack doesn't work. You just gotta listen to the engine. There's second. Third. There's fourth. Now we may have to go up the road just a little bit here, see if we get into overdrive. Yeah, we'll have to go up here. I don't have enough speed here, so let's go up the road just a little bit more. But we are definitely in fourth gear. All right, once I get around this curve, I can kind of let it rip, sort of. All right, so we're in fourth. Let's see if we get into overdrive here. I don't hear overdrive. I hear fourth gear. I mean, no, there it went. Yeah. Yeah, there's overdrive. I didn't realize until I started driving this vehicle today. I'll be daggone. So that's the issue. The 06 is not going into overdrive. So, all right, we're going to turn around. We're going to turn around and go back the other way. Up here, I'm going to definitely make sure it's in fourth gear and listen very carefully for that overdrive to kick in. Oh boy. And just for the fun of it, the other day I went on Wikipedia to find out about the 4L60E transmissions, and it says 4 forward gears and 1 reverse. It doesn't go into technical information like 1-to-1 lockup ratio or overdrive, but that's what I was basing my information off on. But I knew it didn't kind of sound right, because once you drive your car a long time, or any vehicle, you kind of get used to everything and you kind of go back and listen. But yeah, there's overdrive right there. If I give it a little bit of gas, there's fourth. There's overdrive, or lockup, whatever you want to call it. So, yep. All right, well, we got my answer there. So now we got to figure out why the 06 is not going into lockup or overdrive. So I guess that'll be another video down the road. It could be that torque converter that is bad, but we've replaced all the sensors and so forth. So I'm glad I got the 2002 Trailblazer to experiment with. So yeah, oh, there's overdrive. Actually, it goes in quite a bit now since I realize it. So, all right, so I don't want to bore you guys anymore, so we'll go home now, and I guess we'll wrap this video up. So thanks for watching. So I guess for now I'm not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to drive it, and maybe something down the road will pop up where I can actually go, hey, there's why. But until then, I'm just going to enjoy the vehicle and drive it around. So thanks for watching, guys, and until my next video, let me know where you're watching from. and I will see you later.